y'all. Welcome to another day of Nobody's Reading. I realized that I did not spell law correctly. I was moving too fast, and that's okay. It is what it is. But we are also going over the Common Law Handbook. We start on page 35 today, which is cool. We like 35. 35 is a good number. Expression on your power of truth on this day of knowledge and wisdom. So yesterday, we went over who has the power to revoke constitutional rights, who the constitutional rights apply to. The bailiff and the sheriff are here to upstand the law. We got into the history of sheriffs and how that is from medieval times over in England, Europe area, and it was adopted over here in America in like the 16 something. We get into privilege, nation, persons, we the people, who the people are, who the ordain is, what a king is, and to be sovereign is to be a king of yourself.
We learned how the king has no power over us necessarily. We actually have more power over him.
Right. And the power of keeping the government under control so that it doesn't begin to control us. We have the right to citizen arrest, things like that, judicial immunity. We have the right to practice law. You do not have to be a lawyer from the American Bar Association to be a lawyer. You can just be appointed to represent yourself or be appointed to represent someone else, as long as you're not going around telling anybody that you're a part of the ABA or any of those factions and you don't have any of those ABC degrees and stuff like that. You're fine. Don't go around doing that, but you are allowed to exercise law in that realm of advocacy. You have a right to do that. The importance of getting a court of record versus a statutory courtroom is there. Peace faces. Also, supreme law is the basis of all law, and the fiction of law is null and void. All that stuff we went over the last couple of days. So today we are going to start off with no God, no liberty, spelling it with N-O, and then no God, no liberty, spelled K-N-O-W. All right. So if the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. And that was Jesus at John 8:36. If a nation expects to be both ignorant and free, it expects what never was and never will be. And that's Thomas Jefferson. The favorable smiles of heaven can never be expected on a nation that disregards the eternal rules of order and right, which heaven itself has ordained, which is George Washington. God, who gave us life, gave us liberty. And can the liberties of a nation be thought secure when we have removed their only firm basis, a conviction in the minds of the people that these liberties are the gift of God, that they are not to be violated but with his wrath? Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just that. His justice cannot sleep forever. And that was Thomas Jefferson. Hey, Faceless, how you doing, love? We are reading the Common Law Handbook. Welcome to the KKK meeting. The fate of unborn millions will now depend under God on the courage of his army. Our cruel and unrelenting enemy leaves us only the choice of brave resistance or the most abject submission. We have therefore to resolve or to conquer or die, which was George Washington. I am sure that never was a people who had more reason to acknowledge a divine interposition in their affairs than those of the United States. And I should be pained to believe that they have forgotten that agency which was so often manifested during our revolution, or that they failed to consider the omnipotence of God who is alone able to protect them, which was George Washington. They make him sound like such a good person. Hey, Jesus. Only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. As nations become corrupt and vicious, they have more need of masters. I like that one. Okay, Benjamin Franklin, come on with it. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. Ashe. And that was John Adams. Statesmen, my dear sir, may plan and speculate for liberty, but it is religion and morality alone. Headline said, Klan me, I almost died. No, it says KKK, and KKK stands for Knowledge Keepers Club. Hey, love, how you doing? We shot with you. Peace. You said I almost died. No, we're learning about nationality and how to be a American national instead of a U.S. citizen. Statesmen, my dear sir, may plan and speculate for liberty, but it is religion and morality alone which can establish the principles upon which freedom can securely stand. The only foundation of a free constitution is pure virtue, and if this cannot be inspired into our people in a greater measure than they have now, they may change their rulers and the forms of government, but they will not obtain a lasting liberty. They will only exchange tyrants and tyrannies. That was also John Adams. John Adams be on it. I was like, damn, this chick about to get banned. No, I've been doing this for the last few weeks. It's funny. The safety and prosperity of nations ultimately and essentially depend on the protection and blessing of Almighty God. And the national acknowledgement of this truth is not only an indispensable duty which the people owe him, but a duty whose natural influence is favorable to the promotion of that morality and piety without which social happiness cannot exist, nor the blessings of a free government be enjoyed, which is also John Adams. Yes. Oh yeah, our Virgos are crazy. We love dark. I love dark humor, and so I'm just like, okay, KKK meeting, Knowledge Keepers Club. People come in here. They think they about to be in a clan meeting, but really you about to learn about your sovereignty, which I personally theorize. That's why how the KKK gets away with what they get away with. Yeah, I saw her comment. I said hi back. That's how they get away with what they get away with because they are nationals instead of U.S. citizens. The majority of them are judges and police officers, so of course they know how this shit goes. That's why people can't pin none of these politicians, all the nut shit they be doing. Is this white folk bait? No, believe it or not, everybody bites this hook. It doesn't matter. But I do love it when the white folk come in. Because a lot of them come in with this kind of knowledge as well, and they come with it from I feel like white people have more of a patriotic spirit upon them because their history isn't about slavery like like the rest of us. So I always love the input. Sapiophiles. Yes, we're sapiophiles. I love that. That's fly. Observe good faith and justice towards all nations. Cultivate peace and harmony with all. Religion and morality enjoin this conduct. And can it be that good policy does not equally enjoin it? Can it be that providence has not connected the permanent felicity of a nation with its virtue? Also, George Washington. Nothing can contribute to true happiness that is inconsistent with duty, nor can a course of action comfortable to it be finally without an ample reward. For God governs, and he is good. That's Benjamin Franklin. Happiness, whether in despotism or democracy, whether in slavery or liberty, can never be found without virtue. That's John Adams. It cannot be emphasized too strongly or too often that this great nation was founded not by religionists, but by God's children, not on religions, but on the gospel of Jesus Christ. For this very reason, peoples of other faiths have been afforded asylum, prosperity, and freedom of worship here. And that was Patrick Henry. Okay. It is the duty of every man to render to the Creator such homage. Before any man can be considered as a member of civil society, he must be considered as a subject of the governor of the universe. Ooh, okay, James Madison, go on with it. I'm about to head into work, but I'll add you and hope to catch up later. Oh, yes, please. I will definitely add you back. Thank you. Enjoy your day at work, faceless. We have stalked the whole future of American civilization, not upon the power of government. Far from it. We have stacked the future of all of our political institutions upon the capacity of mankind for self-government, upon the capacity of each and all of us to govern ourselves, to control ourselves, to sustain ourselves according to the 10 commandments of God. And that was also James Madison. Religion, or the duty we owe to our Creator in manner of discharging it, can be directed only by reason and conviction. Keep feeding the brain. We gonna need it. Ashe. They need us. They need all the Virgos. They be acting like they don't like us, but they be needing us. We here. Enjoy your evening, beloved. It was nice meeting you. Religion, or the duty we owe to our Creator and manner of discharging it, can be directed only by reason and conviction, not by force or violence, was also James Madison. Let it simply be asked, where is the security for prosperity, for reputation, for life, if the sense of religious obligation desert the oaths, which are the instruments of investigation in the courts of justice? That was George Washington. And let us with caution indulge the supposition that morality can be maintained without religion. Thank you. Whatever may be conceded to the influence of refined educational minds of peculiar structure, reason, and experience, both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principle. Also, George Washington. 'Tis substantially true that virtue or morality is a necessary spring of popular government. Also, George Washington. Hey, Scorpio. Though, in reviewing the incidents of my administration, I am unconscious of intentional error, I am nevertheless too sensible of my defects not to think it probable that I may have committed many errors. Whatever they may be, I fervently beseech the Almighty to avert or mitigate the evils to which they may tend. Also, George Washington. George Washington was doing a lot of chatting. Hey, Block 420. How you doing, Scorpio? How your day going, love? Congress and President George Washington in 1789 passed the United States annotated code, Article 3, which states religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools, and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. 22. Religion and law and government. I'm pretty good. I'm chilling. In my view, the Christian religion is the most important and one of the first things in which all children under a free government ought to be instructed. No truth is more evident to my mind than that of the Christian religion must be the basis of any government intended to secure the rights and privileges of a free people. The father of American scholarship and education, Noah Webster. Hey, O Town. How you doing, love? The brief exposition of the Constitution of the United States will unfold to young persons the principles of Republican government, and it is the sincere desire of the writer that our citizens should early understand that the genuine source of correct Republican principles is the Bible, particularly the New Testament of the Christian religion, also Noah Webster. The religion which has introduced civil liberty is the religion of Christ and his apostles, which enjoins humility, piety, and benevolence, which acknowledges in every person a brother or a sister and a citizen with equal rights. This is genuine Christianity, and to this we owe our free constitutions of government. Also, Noah Webster. Sunshine just clocked back in. What we reading? We reading the Common Law Handbook for jurors, sheriffs, bailiffs, and justices. My day is cool. The moral principles and precepts contained in the scriptures ought to form the basis of all of our civil constitutions and laws. All the miseries and evils which men suffer from vice, crime, ambition, injustice, oppression, slavery, and war proceed from the despising or neglecting the precepts contained in the Bible. Also, Noah Webster. We gotta go back to the Bible. I was trying to tell that dude the other night, like, bro, the Bible has all the stuff in it. You just gotta read it the right way. Anywho, when you become entitled to exercise the right of voting for public officers, let it be impressed on your mind that the preservation of a Republican God commands you to choose for rulers just men who will rule in fear of God government depends on the faithful discharge of this duty. I don't even think that people that are running for office claim God anymore. I think everybody just got so used to not doing that. Because before it used to be like very much like people had to claim to be God ordained and all this stuff like that. I don't even think they do that anymore. They like, fuck it. I'll give you money. Yeah, it's always supposed to be God first. The Mayat skills. If the citizens neglect their duty and place unprincipled men in office, the government will soon be corrupted. Laws will be made not for the public good so much as for their selfish and local purposes. Also, Noah Webster. George Mason, father of our Bill of Rights in 1787. Every master of slaves is born a petty tyrant. They bring the judgment of heaven upon a country. As nations cannot be rewarded or punished in the next world, they must be in this. By an inevitable change of causes and effects, providence punishes national sins by national calamities. Common law is our heritage. Liberty is our inheritance. We the people have been lulled to sleep. We have been robbed and persuaded to sell out our birthright. James 1:25. Whoso looketh in the perfect law of liberty and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. Proverbs 4:7. So ordained and sealed. We, the people, by the mercy and grace of God, ordained with certain unalienable rights, among them the right to form and exercise this 25 people grand jury in the spirit of the Magna Carta and our founding fathers, and in obedience to God for this county on behalf of the people, having recorded our authority with the county clerk and the state supreme court chief clerk, by which we act in order to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity by the securing of natural law, and thereby returning justice, honor, and grace for a perpetual administration of trust on behalf of the people hereby defined in this handbook. Oh, that was a run on sentence. Only the people can save America. Will you? Then register with the National Registry. There's a website, it's called nationalliberyalliance.org. To become a common law jurist, we are establishing common law grand juries in all 3,141 counties. And by doing this, the people will move our courts back to courts of justice. So again, that website is nationalliberyalliance.org. And I'm going to type it in the chat. And let's see if it still exists. Share my screen. Oh, it does still exist. Yay. So only the people can save America. They got the NLA playing. My God, how little do my countrymen know what precious blessings they are in possession of, and which no other people on earth enjoy. That's Thomas Jefferson. The truth is a force of nature. It's all going to come out. It's all going to come out. Hang in there. That's President Donald Trump in 2022. I fucks with Donald Trump. I ain't gonna hold you. I know there is a God. I see the storm coming, and I see his hand in it. And if he has a place, then I am ready. That is JFK, and it was requoted by President Trump in 2022. The storm has arrived. Oh, they like Trump on this website too. That's what's up. In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man and brave in hatred and scorn. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him. For then it costs nothing to be a patriot. So they have the common law course up here. To become a jury administrator, full-time professional position. So they do have positions up here. Warning to all county sheriffs and law enforcement. They got like a little warning video, lot of stuff up here. Click here to read the writ mandamus of the United States Supreme Court. I'm not going to do that right now, but you guys can go on the website and do it. Samuel Adams said, if ever a time should come when vain and aspiring men should possess the highest seats in government, our country will be in need of this experienced patriot to prevent its ruin. And then James Madison said, knowledge will forever govern in ignorance. And if people who mean to be their own governors must arm themselves with the power that knowledge gives. So it's important to have knowledge, because if you don't, people who have knowledge will rule over you. Unfortunately, people don't know how to have government by consent. It's been hidden from them. Thomas Jefferson said, I know no safe depository of the ultimate powers of the society but the people themselves. And if we think them not enlightened enough to exercise their control with a wholesome discretion, the remedy is not to take it from them, but to inform their discretion by education. This is the true corrective of abuses of constitutional power. National Liberty Alliance is informing the people's discretion through education and action to take back our government. And I really think like when the banks and all of them starting to do all this nut shit, that's really what's the issue now, is learning how to separate ourselves from the commerce and the banks and their debt notes and all that stuff like that. That's the real umbrella that's over us. It's not so much the government. I know it's easy to be angry at the quote unquote government, but the government was already established. It was already here. It was when the motherfuckers came over here with their commerce that was the issue. You know what I'm saying? So now it's just a matter of unwrapping our brains away from the commerce, because we already had a government. We already had a way of doing things. We had tribes with millions of people in each tribe. And that's another book that we can read too. What's the name of this site? Oh yeah, let me type it in this chat too. My bad. Let me see. It's called National Liberty Alliance.org. Thank you. That is the website. So it's not so much the Constitution or none of that stuff. It's more so like how these banks came in and was like, oh, y'all owe us a debt, and since y'all had to go through the Revolutionary War, that's when the banks started creeping in during the Revolutionary War, and they've been creeping in more and more ever since, and they've been in charge of the education system. So now, like, good 8, 9, 10 generations later, people don't even know. People can't separate commerce from government. Now, in the average human being's mind, it's the same shit. But people are very adamant about separating religion from government, which it should be the equal opposite. Government and religion, not religion so much as spirituality. Excuse me, let me correct myself, because whatever you do to celebrate your God is your business, as long as you're not injuring anybody or anything or any place. Okay. But your spirituality and government should be one and one, while commerce should be separate. But we've been taught the equal opposite and in favor of commerce, of course. In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man and brave and hated and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him. For then it costs him nothing to be a patriot. So help take back our republic. This kind of been happening all day. Oh, he's coming. Open the door. So you can join the NLA, which is the National Liberty Alliance. You can donate. They have different content up here. They have Bible study up here too, which is pretty interesting. I would like to engage in Bible study that's in alignment with, nationalizing yourself and stuff. It's pretty cool. So it's a pretty cool website. Join our campaign for constitutional sheriffs, American jurisprudence, chief law enforcement officer, due process, the history of the sheriff. They got the education all up here. They have courses in foundation study, Constitution course 101, introduction, free civics course, free militia course. That's pretty cool. American history lectures and papers, articles and essays, different kind of laws and maxims, free PDF books. Let's see what kind of books they got up here. I like to read. Federal Mafia, The Young American, The Roosevelt Doctrine, The Republic, The Law, The First Continental Congress, John Locke. Yeah, he's a good one. Hume, Berkeley, Blackstone, Butler, all those. Cool. You could start a committee of safety. So you can start your own committee. So they do give you, it's not like you're just joining someone and you got these people over you. They still allow you to be some level of free. Got the directory, federal court cases to support, all that fun stuff. Okay, cool. So they have the video, power of the grand jury, the duty of the common law grand juries, the right any wrong. If anyone's unalienable rights have been violated or removed without a legal sentence of their peers, the grand jury can restore them. In addition, if a dispute shall arise concerning this matter, it shall be settled according to the judgment of the grand jurors, the sureties of the peace. In the Supreme Court stunning 6-3 decision, Justice Antonin Scalia, writing for the majority, confirmed that the American grand jury is neither part of the judicial, executive, nor legislative branches of government, but instead belongs to the people. It is in effect a fourth branch of government governed and administered directly by and on behalf of the American people, and its authority emanates from the Bill of Rights and has the power to enforce law and remove people from the public office. Frequently asked questions. Once I register, what happens? If you want to be an active full-time or part-time grand jurist, notify one of your county coordinators and they will assist you. You can find them listed under the coordinators on that website, nationallibertyalliance.org. Otherwise, your name will go in the jury pool and you will receive a phone call. Do you have to serve when you get a call? No, you don't. If you can't participate at the time, they'll just recycle your name. And when I am called, how long would I be needed for? Usually 1 to 3 days. What do I do now? You can go to the website and register. After you register, you'll be taken to an orientation page and you'll be instructed further. Um, the First American Revolution. The First American Revolution did not start with the shot heard around the world. On the morning of April 19th, 1775, when British regulars fired upon a small group of hastily assembled patriots on the Lexington Green, they were attempting to regain control of a colony they had already lost. The real revolution, the transfer of political authority to the past American patriots, occurred the previous summer when thousands upon thousands of farmers. Let's see. Here we go. The real revolution, the transfer of political authority to the American patriots, occurred when the previous summer, when thousands upon thousands of farmers and artisans seized power from every crown-appointed official in Massachusetts outside of Boston. Starting in August 1774, each time a court was slated to meet under British authority in some Massachusetts town, great numbers of angry citizens made sure that it did not. At Great Barrington, 1,500 patriots filled the courthouse to prevent the judges from entering. At Worcester, judges were made to read their recantations 30 times over, hats in hand, as they passed through 4,622 militiamen lined up along Main Street. So, too, at Springfield, where, in a sandy, sultry place exposed to the sun, once important officials sweated under the burden of their heavy black suits. Hey, Trigger, how you doing, love? The functionaries of British rule cowered and collapsed, no match for the collective force of patriotic farmers, according to an eyewitness. The people of each town, being drawn into separate companies, marched with staves and muskets. The trumpets sounding, drums beating, fifes playing, and colors flying, struck the passions of the soul into a proper tone and inspired martial courage into each. The governor's counselors, once elected but now appointed directly by the crown, were also forced to resign. Thomas Oliver, Lieutenant Governor of Massachusetts, and a counselor as well, ceded to a crowd of 4,000 assembled around his home in Cambridge. Timothy Paine of Worcester was visited by 2,000 men who demanded his resignation. He told the committee that he would comply, but his word would not suffice. The people wanted it in writing. Even that was not enough. The crowd demanded that he come out of his house while a representative read his resignation out loud. Again, Paine compiled, and again the people wanted more. He would have to read his resignation himself with his hat off several times as he passed through the ranks. Nothing else would do. Through it all, the revolutionaries engaged in a participatory democracy which far outreached the intentions of the so-called founding fathers. They gathered under no special leaders. Their ad hoc representatives, such as the 5 men elected to talk with Timothy Paine, operated according to the instructions approved by the assembled crowd and reported back immediately to the body as a whole. Even the nighttime mobs, and there were many, maintained a democratic aspect. In Braintree, 200 men gathered on a Sunday around 8 p.m. to remove some gunpowder from the powder house and to make the local chef burn 2 warrants he was attempting to deliver. Successful in their missions, they wanted to celebrate with a loud huzzah, but should they disturb the Sabbath? They called a vote, wrote Abigail Adams, who observed the affair, and it being Sunday evening, it passed into the negative. Hold on a second. By early October 1774, more than 6 months before the Red Dawn at Lexington, all Crown-appointed officials had been forced to disavow British authority or flee to Boston, which was still under military protection. The flames of sedition, wrote Governor Thomas Gage, had spread universally throughout the country beyond conception. The British had lost all control of the Massachusetts countryside, and they would never get it back. Scholars differ widely on how to define revolution, but good starting point, firmly rooted in common usage, can be found in the Random House Webster College Dictionary, 1997. A complete and forcible overthrow and replacement of an established government or political system of the people govern. So, in the late summer and early fall of 1774, the people of rural Massachusetts completely and forcibly overthrew the established government and began to set up their own. This was the first American Revolution. While a group of renowned lawyers, merchants, and slave owning planters were meeting at a Continental Congress in Philadelphia to consider whether or not they should challenge British rule, the plain farmers and artisans of Massachusetts, guarding their liberties jealously and voting at every turn, wrested control for the most powerful empire on earth. Constitution of a common law grand jury. We, the people of the United States of America, do pledge to the governor of the universe in our capacity as jurists, both grand and trial, to uphold the U.S. Constitution, to carry out the principles of natural law in all of our judgments in order to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity by deliberating under natural law, principled under justice, honor, and mercy for a perpetual administration of trust on behalf of the people, acknowledging the foundation upon which all law lays, charity. Inasmuch for, as the sake of God, for the bettering of our sovereignty, if any of our civil servants shall have transgressed against any of the people in any respect, and they shall ask us to cause that error to be amended without delay, or shall have broken some one of the articles of peace or security, and their transgression shall have been shown to 4 jurors of the aforesaid 25, and if those 4 jurors are unable to settle the transgression, they shall come to the 25, showing to the grand jury the error, which shall be enforced by the law of the land. It is the duty of the grand jury, if anyone's unalienable rights have been violated or removed without a legal sentence of their peers from their lands, homes, or liberties, or lawful right, we, the 25, again, during grand jury, that's what we're calling the 25, shall straightway restore them. And if a dispute shall arise concerning this matter, it shall be settled according to the judgment of the 25 grand jurors, the sureties of the peace. A legal maxim: every right, when withheld, must have a remedy, and every injury is proper redress, which is William Blackstone. Hey, B House, how you doing, beloved? There is a common law principle which states that for there to be a crime, there must first be a victim, corpus delicti. In the absence of a victim, there could be no crime. The state cannot be the victim. Statutes are not law. Servant legislators cannot write statutes to control the behavior of their masters. So saying that the Congress or whoever the fuck made laws and they control you and they got your foot on your neck, that's just showing that you're ignorant to how government works and the fact that it's actually supposed to work for you. Hello, B House. How's your day going, beloved? So they have different footnotes, like James R. Trumbull, The History of Northampton, Massachusetts, and the settlement in 1654. Oliver's resignation for Paine's resignation. Abigail to John Adams, there was a letter said 9/14/74. Gage to Lord Dartmouth, which is September 2nd, 1774. Clarence E. Carter. Marbury versus Madison, Hoke versus Henderson, Rodriguez versus Ray Donovan, Sheriff versus Cullen. The United States exists in 2 forms. Okay, these are some clip notes. Now that we getting into, yeah. So the United States exists in 2 forms. The original United States was controlled the federal government until 1860. So that was the original United States, and then the federal United States was incorporated in 1871. The government of the original United States of America was usurped by the government of the federal United States, which only controls the District of Columbia and its territories. That's Washington, D.C. Puerto Rico is another spot, as well as Guam and the islands. That was as for profit corporation that sits as our national government. The corporate United States operates under public commercial law rather than private common law. Okay, so that's the 2. You got public commercial law, which is the federal United States. Then you have private common law, which is where that's the original energy that we're going back to. The original Constitution and the Declaration of Independence refers to these United States. The word united is an adjective describing the noun. So you'll notice that the word united is lowercase while states is uppercase. Okay. When the federal United States, now we have an uppercase U, because that U and that S, those are the names of the corporation. So when the federal United States was formed in 1871, the adjective united was changed to the noun united because the federal United States is a corporation, which the word is not an adjective, but now a noun. The Constitution of the original United States of America was never removed. It has lain dormant since 1871 and is still intact to this day. This point was made clear by Supreme Court Justice Marshall Harlan in Downs versus Bidwell 182 in 1901 by the following dissenting opinion. Two national governments exist, one to be maintained under the Constitution with all its restrictions, the other maintained by Congress outside and independently of that instrument. So the Congress is like a corporate board, if you will. And with that corporate board, that controls the commerce. Makes sense? Oh, I didn't even see y'all comments over here. Hey, Christina, we are in the bloodless revolution. Oh, now that I've clicked on it, now I see you guys. Trump represents the republic of we the people. Ashe, agreed. You get no argument from me. This information is right in line with our wave of communication. Thank you for sharing. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for tuning in. We are the bloodless revolution. Ashe, yes, we are the bloodless revolution. We ain't got to keep shedding blood and stuff like that. We can be in alignment with my eye and still get it done. I'm saying. Ashe. The rewritten 1871 Constitution of the United States overrides the original Constitution for the United States of America, which explains why our congressmen and senators don't abide by it, and the president or CEO of the corporate United States can write executive orders to do whatever he wants to do. He is following corporate law that completely strips sovereign of their God-given unalienable rights. Remember, we're not using unalienable. That was their play on word. It's unalienable. You cannot lean on my rights. You can't take my rights away as a punishment. That makes what? We don't do that here. Corporate public is commercial law. It is not sovereign or private, for it is a public agreement between two or more parties under public contract. Common law, under which sovereigns operate, is not commercial law. Common law is personal and private. Black Law Dictionary 6th edition with pronunciations. Government de facto. A government of fact exercising power and control in the place of true and lawful government. A government not established according to the Constitution of the nation, not lawfully entitled to recognition or supremacy, but which has nevertheless supplanted or displaced the government de jure. A government deemed unlawful or wrongful and unjust, which nevertheless receives habitual obedience from the bulk of the commune or community. There are several degrees of what is called de facto government. Such a government in its highest degree assumes a character closely resembling that of a lawful government. This is when the usurping government expels the regular authorities from their customary seats and functions and establishes itself in their place and becomes the actual government of a country. The distinguishing characteristics of such a government is that its adherents who are warring against the government de jure do not incur the penalties of treason, and under certain limitations, the obligations assumed by them in behalf of the country or otherwise will generally be respected by the de jure government when restored. Such a government might more aptly be denominated a government of paramount force, maintained by military power against the rightful authority of an established and lawful government, and obeyed in civil matters by private citizens. They are usually administered by military authority, but they may also be administered by civil authority supported more or less by military force. And that source is Dorrington versus Smith. De facto government. A government that maintains itself by a display of force against the will of the legal government and is successful, at least temporarily, in overturning the institutions of the rightful government by setting up its own government in lieu thereof. And that's Wortham versus Walker. Government de jure, a government of right, a true and lawful government, a government established according to the Constitution of the nation or state and lawfully entitled to recognition and the administration of a nation, although actually cut off from the power or control. A government deemed lawful, rightful, and just, which has been nevertheless supplanted or displaced, which receives not habitual obedience from the bulk of the community. Now, de jure, a condition in which there has been a total compliance with all requirements of law, of right, legitimate, lawful, by right, and just title. In this sense, it is the contrary of de facto, and may also be contrasted with de gratia, which in this case means a matter of right. De gratia means by grace or favor. Again, It may be contrasted with de quitate, meaning by law, as the latter being by equity. And that's the Black's Law Dictionary 6th edition with the pronunciations and all that. Because I know I mispronounced some of that shit. How the Constitution was usurped by the corporation. The corporate United States is not obligated nor accountable to the people except to make a profit for its stockholders as a corporation. The corporate interest does not benefit the people, but uses the people and their labor to make a profit for the corporation. This corporation works in concert with the corporate courts and banks to usurp the people's wealth. The transfer of the constitutional authority of the money over a private foreign bank, the non-federal Federal Reserve, has devastated our lives. This crime of taking the money authority away from the people must be corrected and authority restored to the constitutional form of government so our country can become prosperous once again. From a speech in Congress in Congressional Record of March 17, 1993, volume 33, page H1303, regarding the bankruptcy of the United States by Speaker Representative James Traficant Jr., Ohio, addresses the House. Hello. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act, March 9, 1933. Write that down for me. Emergency Banking Act, March 9, 1933.
Emergency Banking Act.
March 9th, 1933. Because we're going to read that. 48 Statute 1, Public Law 89-719, declared by President Roosevelt, being bankrupt and insolvent. HJR 192, 73rd Congress, Session June 5th, 1933. Joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause dissolved the sovereign authority of the United States and the official capacities of all United States governmental officers, and departments, and it's further evidence that the United States federal government exists today in name only. And we talked about that in the Meet Your Straw Man book about how peace Lazarus, peace to the God. We talked about that in the How to Meet Your Straw Man book when we was talking about how the gold-backed standard and then the rising of the petrodollar and the rising of the selling of the land, which they don't have a right to do, but this was their way of saving face because where is the gold? The receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers via the United Nations, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. All United States offices, officials, and departments are now operating within a de facto status in name only under emergency war powers. With the constitutional Republican form of the government now dissolved, the receivers of the bankruptcy have adopted a new form of government for the United States. The new form of government is known as a democracy, being an established socialist communist order under a new governor for America. This act was instituted and established by transferring and or placing the office of the Secretary of Treasury to that of the Governor of the International Monetary Fund. Public Law 94-564, page 8, section HR 13955 reads in part, the U.S. Secretary of Treasury receives no compensation for representing the United States. Prior to 1913, most Americans owned clear allodial titles, and we learned about what an allodial title is yesterday. It cannot be taken away from you. It's your rights to property, free and clear of any liens of mortgages. It cannot be taxed until the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Look, write that down. Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Hypothecated all property within the federal United States to the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, in which the trustees or stockholders held legal title. The U.S. citizen is now the tenant or the franchise. Hello, General Sassoon. Was registered as a beneficiary of the trust via his or her birth certificate. In 1933, the federal United States hypothecated all of the present and future properties, assets, and labor of their subjects. The 14th Amendment, U.S. citizen to the Federal Reserve System. So that's the thing that we're combating. And when you get in it with a certain empires that are rising or whatever they're doing, they always talk about it's the fourth. They love the 14th Amendment, but they don't realize the 14th Amendment is what took rights away. They didn't really add anything. It just made everybody equal in their lack of rights. So we are going to read these amendments, so don't even worry about it. We'll get into it, so we ain't got to sit here and debate and stuff, because you know I'm not a debater. I'm an educator. Edification, excuse me. I'm not here to train y'all neither. In return, the Federal Reserve System agreed to extend the Federal United States Corporation all of the credit money substitute it needed. Like any debtor, the federal United States government had to assign collateral and security to their creditors as a condition of the loan. Since the federal United States didn't have any assets, they assigned the private property of their economic slaves, the U.S. citizens, as collateral against the federal debt. So again, the gold went missing. Then it was like, oh, take this land. So then now they made it so that your land is being taxed, mortgaged, and can be taken from you if you don't keep paying on it. And now it's your labor, which is where you get a lot of the bonds, the Social Security trust, the birth certificate bonds. Every time you go to court, you get a docket number. That is also a bond number. You go to work, you get the employment number or whatever. You get a that's also, on your bond, your Social Security trust and all that stuff like that. And you get a nice little baby percentage, but you ain't getting nothing compared to what the people that own that bond is getting. You ain't touching the surface. You think you get hype at your little couple $100 a week in unemployment. Meanwhile, you is on millions. You're owed millions. You shouldn't be paying for nothing here. Especially when you think about inflation of the dollar, that means that your bond is worth way more in relevance to inflation. So in return, the Federal Reserve System agreed to extend the Federal United States Corporation all of the credit money substitute it needed, right? Like any debtor, the federal United States government had to assign collateral and security to their creditors as a condition of the loan. Since the federal United States didn't have any assets, they assigned the private property of their economic slaves, the U.S. citizens, as collateral against the federal debt. They also pledged the unincorporated federal territories, national parks, forests, birth certificates, and nonprofit organizations as collateral against the federal debt. All has already been transferred as payment to the international bankers. Unwittingly, America has returned to its pre-American Revolution feudal roots, whereby all land is held by the sovereign and the common people have no rights to hold a loyal title to property. Once again, we the people are tenants and sharecroppers renting our own property from a sovereign in the guise of a Federal Reserve Bank. We the people have exchanged one master for another. How can we repair our country right now? As the Republic for the United States works to reinstall its government, the knowledge and truth about what has happened needs to be told. All Americans need to know the history of this tragedy, but with the good news about how it all can be brought back. Much help is needed to correct all of the unconstitutional laws, codes, and programs that plague our country today. The Republic for the United States of America is not a movement. It is the lawful government of the United States. Become part of the reestablishment process, get involved with the common law grand jury, and help to restore the Republic for the United States of America. So, my love, you are going to start on page 40. We're now on page 50. Page 50 is the Bill of Rights. This is the first 10 amendments to the Constitution ratified by the United States. You're going to read that. You're going to read. So we do have the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence in here. Gang. I want you to read the Bill of Rights and I want you to read the Declaration of Independence. And then you're going to stop at page 60. And that's where we're going to stop at for today. And we're going to finish this book up tomorrow, which is only going to be like 4 pages. Well, actually, we can finish up this book today, but I just want you to read that. Read the Bill of Rights in the Constitution for me.
Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution as ratified by the states. Note, the following text is a
Come up closer to the mic.
Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution as ratified by the states. Note, the following text is a transcription of the first 10 amendments to the Constitution in their original form. These amendments were ratified December 15, 1791, and form what is commonly known as the Bill of Rights. The preamble to the Bill of Rights. Congress of the United States begun and held at the city of New York on Wednesday, the 4th of March, 1789. The conventions of a number of the states, having at the time of their adopting the Constitution expressed a desire in order to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its powers, that further declaration and restrictive clauses should be added, and as extending the ground of public confidence in the government will best ensure the beneficent ends of its institution. Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, two-thirds of both houses concurring that the following articles be proposed to the legislators of the several states as amendments to the Constitution of the United States. All or any of which articles, when ratified by three-fourths of the said legislators to be valid to all intents and purposes, are part of the said Constitution, viz. Articles in addition to an amendment of the Constitution for the United States of America proposed by Congress and ratified by the legislators of the several states pursuant to the fifth article of the original Constitution. Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging to the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Amendment 2.
Wait, let's stick to the First Amendment. What did you read?
No prohibiting of religion as well as freedom of speech, press, freedom of expression, and exercising thereof.
Okay, so we have a right to assemble. We have a right to petition the government. We have a right, Congress cannot do anything in alignment with the religion because, as you can hear from a lot of these quotes on the original government, is based upon the first trust, which just so happens to be the trust made with God. Keep going. That's why we don't care for religion and we go to the spiritual realm, because going into religion, that is the government that they put upon our spiritual freedom.
Amendment 2. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
They hate this amendment. We don't care. Keep going.
Amendment 3. No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law.
This is something that if you are a U.S. citizen, they do have their statutes where if you allow it as a U.S. citizen that's ignorant of your rights, they will come in your house. I see a lot of the fear mongering going on, but that's because that applies to the U.S. citizens. So, mind your business. Keep going.
Amendment 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
Okay, so this amendment gets infringed on a lot, but it's only on U.S. citizens. We talked about this in the How to Meet Your Straw Man, the UCC code. You go ahead and get that driver's license if you want to and show yourself being a U.S. citizen. You hand that driver's license to the police officer, guess what? You gave him consent. You gave up your Fourth Amendment. You driving around with that license plate on the front and the back of your car, guess what? You gave up the Fourth Amendment. You want to go register to vote? You've given up your Fourth Amendment. There's a lot of different things. So you're like, oh, you can't search my house. You can't search my stuff. As soon as you claim yourself to be a U.S. citizen or living within their territory, you have given up your Fourth Amendment. So ain't no, oh, you can't go through my stuff. You can't do that. Nah, they can. They can, because you don't have any rights. You don't have any rights. You gave that right up. You gave up that Fourth Amendment right up because you subscribed to the United States subscription. Congratulations, you played yourself. Keep going. Let's go to the fifth one.
Amendment 5. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime, unless on a presentment, presentment or indictment of a grand jury, indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation.
So this one gets played around with in a lot of movies. You got the movie like Double Jeopardy, when the woman was accused of killing her husband, find out her husband faked his death, and then she could kill him and she wouldn't be charged because she already did her time. So that's the Jeopardy. You can't be put in offense twice. Two, when they say you can't infringe, you can't answer for a capital or an infamous crime unless you're in the naval forces or the militia, because when you sign up for the military, you've already given up your right. You already subscribe to the subscription by default. So you gotta open your mouth. You don't get to just disappear unless you do something like what was the dude's name? His name is, it's on the tip of my tongue. Eric Snowden, when he had to go to a whole nother country for asylum. But he still had to come back. He had to speak on things because he had already given up those rights. He doesn't have Fifth Amendment rights. You got to tell the truth. Now he's just asking for whistleblower protection, which is why we have the Whistleblower Act now that people still find gray areas with, because if you call yourself a certain kind of something, within their statutes, now fuck the Whistleblower Act, for real. And that's why you got a lot of whistleblowers out here whistleblowing, and nothing is happening because of it, because that even that form has been amended in its own way. But you don't have to testify against yourself. I believe Dave Chappelle had a skit on that where he kept pleading the fifth. This is the fifth that he was talking about. He does not have to perjure against himself. No private property shall be taken for public use, not without just compensation. So you can't just take somebody's stuff and sell it. It's kidnapping. It's taking. Like when somebody takes your car, tows your car, and it tells you got to pay X amount of money. You guys stole my car. You guys are private pirates. You stole my car. You came in my crib. You stole things out of my house, saying that, oh, this is for police use. But they do a lot of training and education and indoctrination through Hollywood, which we've been talking about heavily, because the government does go hand in hand with Hollywood. They are the clowns. And if you look at the history of it, clowns have always gone hand in hand with government with entertaining the people. And so with that being said, a lot of things that people think they know about law and order and how to conduct themselves and stuff comes from these screens, whether it's the TV screens from news channels, a big one. These law shows that be on TBS, and now you got all these crime, these fake real shows, thinking they learning about crime, and you're not. You're just being indoctrinated to procedure, which is in alignment with U.S. citizenship shit. It's always procedure. If you look at an episode of Law and Order, it's just procedure. You look at an episode of Suits, it's procedure. It's no law. It's just order. It's just not order. It's just routine. Okay, they don't go hand in hand. But anyway, let's go to the Sixth Amendment.
Amendment 6. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, and to be confronted with the witness against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witness in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense.
Mm-hmm. So it's basically like, if you're being accused of something, you have a right to see your day in court. Can't nobody just come up to you and be like, oh, you did this, and then kill you. That's not how we move. That's not in alignment with Mayat. That's why I love that Christina said that this is the bloodless revolution. We are not here to be the executioners. We are not here for that. That is not up to us. That's between them, and they have to see their day in court with the grand jury. All right? A court of record at that. We're going to do it the righteous way. And so with that being said, you have a right to the procedures. Can't nobody just come in and say you're guilty and send you to jail and woo. That's not how it works. Even if they see you doing it, you still have to go to court. Even if we seen it on the camera. We watched you stab the guy. I still get my day in court. Okay? And then you have a right to have counsel for your defense, whether you would self-appoint yourself, you could appoint somebody else, or you can have a lawyer. And that's another thing they dupe you with giving you a public attorney or whatever, instead of knowing you learning your own shit, or you trusting someone or your person, and bestowing them with that opportunity, whatever. Okay, let's go to the 7th Amendment.
Amendment 7. In suits at common law where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law.
Okay. The value in controversy shall exceed $20. What? I honestly
Look up
don't
controversy.
No. We're gonna simplify it. Amendment 7 to the Constitution was ratified on December 5th, 1791. It protects the right for citizens to have a jury trial in federal courts with civil cases where the claim exceeds a certain dollar amount. Okay. So civil cases or lawsuits based on disagreements between people or businesses have a right to be decided by a jury in federal court. The amount of the lawsuit must be more than $20. Oh, okay. So you know how you have small claims court got to be more than like $400. So that's putting a dollar amount to if I'm suing you for a certain amount, it has to be a certain amount to make it to federal court. We're not going to have me suing you for $5 at a Supreme Court. We're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? It's all the petty stuff. Like, y'all learn how to talk. Seventh Amendment right violated when bench trial on inventorship conducted before jury trial could be held on fraud claims with shared factual issues. What's a real life example of the 7th Amendment? One of the most famous examples of this was the landmark case of Brown versus Board of Education, in which the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that segregation in public schools was unconstitutional. This case was brought to court through the use of the 7th Amendment, and it had profound impact on the civil rights movement. Jurors are laymen not trained in law, and if the defendant's best defense is based on complex legal concept, a jury may not be the best option. Jurors, this is why it's important for everyone to learn law. They intentionally do not teach this in the public education system. So when you do have a grand jury, you're like, damn, do they know? You know what I'm saying? Do they know? And so it's important for us to educate each other. And again, go to that website, become one of the parts of the grand jury and all that fun stuff. Okay, keep going. 8th Amendment.
8th Amendment. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted.
Self-explanatory, but we know that is not applied to the U.S. citizens, given all the names that we now remember because we watched them be gunned down on social media repeatedly. Let's go to the 9th Amendment.
Amendment 9. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people.
Let's see. Enumeration. The 9th Amendment was written by James Madison and was voted on as part of the Bill of Rights in 1791. Overall, the 9th Amendment states that the government cannot take away the rights of the American people that are not specifically listed in the U.S. Constitution. So just because you are not listed here does not mean that your rights can be taken away. It protects unenumerated residual rights of people, and by the 10th, powers are not delegated to the United States or reserved. The 9th Amendment was designed in part to clear out the ambiguity surrounding rights that went unaddressed, yet in so doing produced centuries of historical and political inquiry as to how these rights exist in American society, which is why we have so many amendments after this, which we will get into later. Two other examples of the 9th Amendment are the right to vote and the right to privacy. Americans have the right to vote in any election. Also, the right to privacy is for individuals or couples who have the right to privacy within their personal lives without government interference. The Ninth Amendment tells us the existence of a written constitution should not be treated as an excuse for ignoring non-textual rights. But it also tells us that the advocates of these rights cannot rest on ancient constitutional texts to establish their existence. So we need to keep speaking on rights the way people are now and get them written down. But certain things should just be common sense, especially if there's no injured party. Because the rights protected by the Ninth Amendment are not specified, they are referred to as unenumerated. And that means that they're just not specified. The Supreme Court has found that unenumerated rights include such important rights such as the right to travel, the right to vote, the right to keep personal matters private and make important decisions about one's health or care of body. The Ninth Amendment is a constitutional safety net intended to make clear that individuals have other fundamental rights. In addition to those listed in the first through 8 amendments, some of the framers had raised concerns that because it was impossible to list every fundamental right, it would be dangerous to list just some of them. For example, the right to free speech, the right to bear arms, and so forth, for fear of suggesting that list was complete. This group of framers opposed the Bill of Rights entirely and favored a more general declaration of fundamental rights. But others, including many state representatives, have refused to ratify the Constitution without more specific list of protections. So the first Congress added the Ninth Amendment as compromise. So basically saying whatever we didn't list, it's right. So go ahead. 10th Amendment.
The 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectfully, or to the people.
Right. So what does that say again? The Constitution does not give rights. The Constitution does not take rights away. I mean, yeah. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it. Like, these are rights that we already have. We just write them down on paper. Can't nobody take none of this stuff from you. And we talked about that in the beginning of this book. Keep going.
Now we have the chain of authority. We have God, which is natural law. Then after that, it's we the people. Then we have Magna Carta, which is the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Then we have the legislature and judicial and administration. And then we have the United States citizens. That is from the top down.
So God, natural law at the top, and then we the people, and then Magna Carta, which is in alignment with Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Then we have legislative, judicial, and administrative. Then we have United States citizen. So to be a United States citizen, you is all the way at the bottom, baby. You is all the way at the bottom. We don't like it there. Get up. So where are we at now? Declaration of Independence.
Declaration of Independence. In Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13th United States of America, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare that causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that to secure these rights, governments are instituted. Insinuated among men.
Instituted, you're right. Instituted among men.
Instituted among men, deriving them their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed would dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience has that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object in vices as designed to reduce them from under absolute disposition, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government, and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been this patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws in the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with many manly firmness his invasions of the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of the annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored,
Mhm.
endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the law of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers.
All right, let me pause you. I want to make sure that you know what you're reading. What are you read? What did you read so far?
As of right now, I've been reading a lot of. This is basically reading the different laws he broke, like the different. What other things can I say other than law? The
Basically,
different rules he broken as being the great king of Britain, the different ways he acted in Germany.
mm-hmm.
It was a simple word for that. George III.
Yep, you're talking about King George III. And
Ruled
what we now know that he
1760
still
to
owns a lot
1820.
of shit out here.
How old is that?
1760 to 1820. That's not that long ago. That's like 200 years ago. Say it's 2024 right now. So you got 1890 to 1920.
They had a 200-year-old man in power. Is that
No,
what you?
no, 1760 to 1820. Oh, you said how long did he? Okay, so he was born in 1760. That's 40. He died when he was 60.
Oh.
But I thought you were saying
Like rule. Yes, it says
he
R.
died 200 years ago. That's
Still crazy.
204 years ago to be exact.
Not that long.
Not that long at all. That's 2 grandmothers ago.
You could say one, honestly. You live pretty long.
Yeah, we live long. Go ahead. I'm listening.
He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. And next one, he has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount of payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislators. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us by beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses.
Now that sounds like a lot of what's going on today. When you guys get a traffic ticket, do y'all get a jury? Do y'all get to convince a jury that you weren't really speeding and this, that, and you don't? You go in there and you accept the jurisdictions and you say yes, you understand why the judge asked you a bunch of questions, basically making sure they have jurisdiction before they tell you, oh, you talked to the public defender. They told you to do a plea. We're gonna lower your tickets, and so you're just happy that you get to pay $50 and $33 court fees instead of a whole $200, $600, not realizing that they infringed on your rights. They infringed on your rights to have a jury. They infringed on your rights to be in a court of record. But you've gotten so used to procedure, the courtrooms give you anxiety. You don't even want to be in there. You think that you in there to be on your knees with your head down, which is what a United States citizen is supposed to be. But if you want to be in a courtroom with your head down, do your thing. But that's not what you're supposed to be. Go ahead, keep going. We started for abolishing.
Yes, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it all at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislators, and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. For he has
abducted.
What?
Oh no, you're right. I'm sorry. I saw what I wanted to say. He has abdicated. You're right.
He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of this protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burned our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savage, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. That's still a weird title to give. Indian savages.
Well, because even though they were fighting for their freedom, they still didn't give a fuck about the natives.
Okay, well, in every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislator to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow such usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We
We
must
need to look up that word.
consanguinity. Yes, actually.
This is a direct line of kinship or blood relationship between people who share a common ancestor or are descended from each other. For example, an adopted child is considered a child of their adopted parents for purpose of consanguinity. The fact of being descended from the same ancestor.
I remember that. We must therefore
Acquiesce. Hold on. This word means, excuse me, to accept, comply, or submit tactically or passively. So just say accept. We must accept.
therefore accept in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America and General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of
Rectitude.
our
Rectitude.
yeah rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united
Hold
colonies.
on, pause. Rectitude means correct behavior or thinking. Righteousness. It's a noun. Go ahead.
In name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies and the right out to be free and independent states, that they are abolished from all allegiance to the British. Absolved.
Just removing. We're removing all of our allegiance to the British Crown.
I try so hard to do Old English tongue, but to be fair, it sounds pretty nice, which is why I try to keep on doing it.
Respect. Keep going.
From all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the states of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that are free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each of our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. The 56 signatures on the declaration appear in the positions indicated.
Just so happens to be a Virgo, September 3rd, 1783. Virgo gang off in this thing.
Who? George?
The Declaration of Independence is a Virgo.
Huh.
Keep going.
I thought you were looking up George III.
Oh, I did. I was over here.
I'm curious about him now since you did the declaration.
He was like Kim Jong-un. He's like softy at home, but on the outside, he was doing the most.
The 56 signatures on the declaration appear in the positions indicated. Georgia, Bottom Gwynwick, Button Gwynwick. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Button Gwynwick. Again, I'm not doing that last name. Lemon Hall, George Walton, North Carolina, William Hop. Oh my God. Keep on talk over. William Hooper, Joseph Lees, John Penn, South Carolina, Edward Rutledge, Thomas.
I don't gotta get caught up in these names.
Let's at least do New Jersey because that's where we are.
Okay.
Richard Stockton, John Witherspoon, Francis Hopkins, John Hart, and Abraham Clark.
Okay. I don't see Georgia up there.
No. Georgia's up here.
Okay. That was Gwinnett, Hall, and Walton. Okay. North Carolina was Hooper, Hughes, and Penn. This for my people in the back that's doing their genealogy. John Hancock represented Massachusetts. William Parker, Thomas Stone, Charles Carroll of Carrollton, and Samuel Chase represented Maryland. Gang up in this thing. Rhode Island was Stephen Hopkins and William Ellery. New Hampshire was Matthew Thornton. All right, keep going.
That's it.
All right.
They don't even have the rest.
No, that's it. That's all the signatures. It was 56. Common law grand jury groundswell. Have you ever heard of common law grand jury? The common law grand jury is alive and well in over 26 states. There are 33,141 counties in the United States of America, and our goal is to get at least 6 people in each county in order to organize and elect an election in your county to reinstate and initiate the common law grand jury nationwide. When we reinstate the common law grand jury in all the counties of the state, when the people will have 100% control of their state government. When 26 plus states achieve this goal, we the people will have 100% control of Washington, D.C. Duty of the common law grand jury. If anyone's unalienable rights have been violated or removed without legal sentence of their peers from their lands, home, liberties, or lawful right, we, the 25, shall straightway restore them. And if a dispute shall arise concerning this matter, it shall be settled according to the judgment of the 25 grand jurors and the sureties of peace, which is the Magna Carta, June 15th, 1215. We're going to read the Magna Carta. Don't worry about it. It is the duty of the people to govern themselves and to secure their government by participating as a jurist. Think about this. If we, the people, can reinstate justice and demand that elected officials and bureaucrats obey the law or be indicted, we would have succeeded in reinstating the Constitution. Only the people can stand up and defend the Constitution because the Constitution cannot defend itself, and bureaucrats will never do it. In a stunning 6-3 decision, Justice Antonin Scalia, writing for the majority of Supreme Court justices, confirmed that the American grand jury is neither part of the judicial, executive, nor legislative branches of government, but instead belongs to the people. It is, in fact, a fourth branch of government governed and administered directly by and on the behalf of American people, and its authority emanates from the Bill of Rights. See United States versus Williams. Hold on to the Constitution and the Republic for which it stands. Miracles do not cluster, and what has happened once in 6,000 years may not happen again. Hold on to the Constitution, for if the American Constitution should fail, then there will be an anarchy throughout the world. I actually don't mind anarchy, and if you want, we could look anarchy up so we can see why I don't mind anarchy. Anarchy is a state of disorder due to absence or non-recognition of authority or controlling system. The organization of society on the basis of voluntary cooperation without political institutions or hierarchy government. A simple definition of anarchy is anarchy derived from the Greek word meaning having no ruler is a belief that system that rejects governmental authority in favor of self-governing or community consensus has become the synonymous for chaos and break. And it's really not synonymous. If you have a community that's in alignment with God and you guys' spirituality is intact, you don't need a hierarchy. And that's what we read a lot in a lot of the John Adams and James and Washington quotes and Webster quotes that I read earlier in this video. Necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedom. It is the argument of tyrants. It is the creed of slaves. William Pitt, November 18th, 1783. I would rather be exposed to the inconvenience attending too much liberty than those attending too small degree of it. Thomas Jefferson. Mission statement. Our mission is to restore the people to sovereignty through knowledge, and only then will they be armed with the virtue to take political and judicial power. The people have it in their power to disarm and defeat the enemy of liberty, both foreign and domestic, if they only understood the principles of freedom and stand upon them. To take political power is to control our elected representatives by bringing them into obedience through fear of the people. This is accomplished by understanding the office of and becoming an elected committeeman, and then executing the powers. It's that simple. To take judicial power is to control our courts by understanding jurisdiction and bringing into subjection all government officers and officials using common law courts by opening courts of record and executing people authority. Is that simple. But to successfully apply political and judicial power, you must have a sense of justice and mercy, which is synonymous with virtue. And to give virtue, you need to have a relationship with your creator. If everyone exercised these principles, America could shake off the chains or tyranny, reinstate our republic, and bring down the NWO literally overnight. This is the only way to save the nation. Without power, you are powerless. So this is the group that wrote this book, I guess. They're nonpartisan. A partisan person is one who blindly or unreasonably devoted to party positions. Therefore, a partisan cannot simply cannot possibly serve a constitution. George Washington warned us against political parties. He said they only succeed in pitting one group against another, which we see. Y'all don't even care how incompetent different options are. It's just one versus the other at this point. The cause of the grassroots movement is the awakening to our constitutional crisis, where grassroots engaged in partisan politics further serves the demise of our constitutional republic. The evil genius of the progressive movement is their exploitation of partisan politics, which they created to subvert our Constitution. Grassroots groups are natural and spontaneous, whose primary objective is to reinstate the Constitution. To be partisan would be counterproductive. The traditional power structures are orchestrated and designed to harness grassroots movements. They must always be subject, or they will be proven corrupt if they are partisan, divisive, and take control of choosing candidates. Grassroots are founded locally. Control is local, and most events are local. To collaborate with distinct groups is necessary for unity, but if events become dictated by them, you are no longer grassroots. All that is necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. The question before the people is one of an awful moment to this country. For my own part, I consider it as nothing less than a question of freedom or slavery. Should I keep back my opinions at such a time through fear? It is natural to man to indulge in the illusions of hope. We are apt to shut out our eyes against painful truth and listen to the song of that siren till she transforms us into beasts. Is this the part of wise men engaged in a great and arduous struggle for liberty? I have but one lamp by which my feet are guided, and that is the lamp of experience. I know no way of judging of the future but by the past. They are sent over to the blind and rivet upon us those chains which the ministry have been so long forging. And what have we to oppose them? Shall we try argument? Sir, we have been trying that for the last 10 years. Have we anything new to offer upon the subject? Nothing. Sir, we have done everything that could be done to avert the storm which is now coming on. We have petitioned, we have remonstrated, we have supplicated, we have prostrated ourselves, and have employed its interposition to arrest the tyrannical hands of the ministry. Our petitions have been slighted, our remonstrances have produced additional violence and insult, our supplications have been disregarded, and we have been spurned with contempt from foot to the throne. In vain, after these things, may we indulge in the fond hope of peace and reconciliation. There is no longer any room for hope. If we wish to be free, if we mean to preserve privileges, if we mean not to abandon the noble struggle in which we have been so long engaged, and which we have pledged ourselves never to abandon until the glorious object of our contest shall be attained, we must fight. I repeat it, sir, we must fight. An appeal to arms and the God of hosts is all that is left us. They tell us, sir, that we are weak, unable to cope with so formidable the adversary. But when shall we be stronger? Will it be the next week or the next year? Will it be when we are totally disarmed and when a guard shall be stationed in every house? Shall we gather strength by irresolution and inaction? Shall we acquire the means of effectual resistance by lying supinely on our backs and hugging the delusive phantom of hope until our enemies shall have bound us in hand and foot? Sir, we are not weak if we make a proper use of those means which the God of nature class have placed in our powers. I don't know what the fuck I just read. 300 millions of people armed in the holy cause of liberty, and in such a country as that we possess, are invincible by any force which our enemy can send against us. Besides, sir, we shall not fight our battles alone. There is a just God who presides over our destinies of nations, and who will raise up friends to fight our battles for us. It is now too late to retire from the contest. There is no retreat but in submission and slavery. Our chains are forged. Their clanking may be heard. The war is inevitable, and let it come. I repeat, sir, let it come. Gentlemen may cry peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war has actually begun. The next fate that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand here idle? What is that the gentlemen wish? What should they have? Is life so dear, so peace, so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. And all of that was from Patrick Henry, because he be talking. So, these three books that we just read, How to Meet Your Straw Man, the UCC book, and the Common Law Handbook were all written by David Robinson. He can be communicated with at drobin, that's DROBIN 88 at Comcast.net. I don't know if this is still a valid email, but it exists. The administrator is the Unified Maine Common Law Grand Jury for the Maine Republic Free State. So this is all about getting back the Republic. And that's the end of this book, the Common Law Handbook, y'all. We made it. We read all 3 books. How do you feel?
I feel very accomplished.
Yes, yes. We love accomplish. Do you feel enlightened?
I do.
You do?
I feel embarrassed too. The
Why?
amount of studying I did all through 3 books.
Why are you embarrassed about studying all 3 books? Oh, yeah, that's right. I gave the other 2 to your grandma. Well, as long as you overstand it and understand it to where you can exercise it, that's what really matters. So the next book that we're going to read is called How to Outsmart the Credit Bureaus. This is written by, I don't know who wrote it. It doesn't say. It's just a company listed on here. But some of the things we're going to read is the history of the credit bureaus, how credit bureaus work, how credit reports work, ways to outsmart the bureaus, identity theft, and then we have the appendixes and the glossary. This is another little short book. It's about 100 pages. And we're definitely going to read this within a week because it seems like we're knocking these books out left and right within a week's timing. And so once we finish that, we're going to start getting into the acts that we wrote down as we read these books. And yeah, we're just going to keep going. We're going to keep going and growing with one another. So, tune in when you're ready to tune in for the next episode. Tomorrow's episode, we're going to tune into how to outsmart the credit bureaus. So without further ado, we're going to get to the second part of this episode, y'all. This is the part where we allow Brandon to take the wheel. We will be doing episode 14. Are we on 14? Yeah, we're on 14. Yay. So this is episode 14. We are addressing the lawyers as officers of the court, which is definitely in alignment with what we've been reading in the book and stuff. So, yeah, let's enjoy it. Let me present it first. And tomorrow, when you tap in, when we're doing the credit bureaus, we're going to get into theory of conditional acceptance. You know what? I love how shit aligns for me. Like, you know what? I ain't even going to question it no more. We love it here. And yeah, tomorrow's going to be a really good episode. So I hope you guys can tune in. But let's get started.
Let's check this out. I'm like a drug lord trying to like seduce your ass. What do you think? What do you think, ladies? Hit me up. Hit me up, baby. OneStupidFuck.com. All right. We're going to be getting into fuck. What are we getting into? Lawyers. Lawyers are officers of the court. Okay, what does that mean? Let's get into this. Lawyers are officers of the court, and by using one, you put yourself in the jurisdiction of the court. Damn, this one's heavy. Woo! Okay, so check it out. Let's just get right into this quote. So there's this quote. It's from something called Corpus Juris Secundum. Now, we're going to clear up what that means. It's some Latin-ass shit. So, Corpus Juris Secundum is Latin for second body of law. And it's an encyclopedia of United States law at the federal and state levels. It's an encyclopedia, blah, blah, blah. It is arranged alphabetically into 430 topics, which in turn are arranged into subheadings. Of course they are, because everything is. Corpus Juris is that, Corpus Juris is body of law. It's title of a large encyclopedic collection of laws comprising an entire body of law. So this one here I'm about ready to talk to you about, I don't know a lot about Corpus Juris Secundum, but whatever. It's an encyclopedia of law. Whatever the fuck that is. Corpus Juris Secundum, 1980, Section 4. Here's the quote. You ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Do I need to show you my chest again so you can be ready here? Touch my chest, my chesticles. All right. Now you're ready.
So you're already using ChatGPT, and while that's awesome, there is one little
Word up. This is video number 14. I got a nice button-up shirt for you guys. Let's check this out. I'm like a fucking... Ooh, fuck. What are we getting into? Lawyers. Lawyers are officers of the court. Okay, what does that mean? Let's get into this. Lawyers are officers of the court, and by using one, you put yourself in the jurisdiction of the court. Damn, this one's heavy. This one's heavy. Woo! Okay, so check it out. Let's just get right into this quote. So there's this quote. It's from something called Corpus Juris Secundum. Now, we're going to clear up what that means. It's some Latin-ass shit. So Corpus Juris Secundum is Latin for second body of law. And it's an encyclopedia of United States law at the federal and state levels. It's an encyclopedia, blah, blah, blah. It is arranged alphabetically into 430 topics, which in turn are arranged into subheadings. Of course they are, because everything is. Corpus Juris is that, Corpus Juris is body of law. It's title of a large encyclopedic collection of laws comprising an entire body of law. So this one here I'm about ready to talk to you about, I don't know a lot about Corpus Juris Secundum, but whatever. It's an encyclopedia of law. Whatever the fuck that is. Corpus Juris Secundum, 1980, Section 4. Here's the quote. You ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Do I need to show you my chest again so you can be ready here? Touch my chest, my chesticles. All right. Now you're ready. Fuck yeah. All right. The attorney is obligated to the courts and the public wherever his duties to his client conflict with those he owes as an officer of the court in the administration of justice. The former duties must yield to the latter. So what does that mean? That means you pay a lawyer and you don't mean jack shit compared to the court, which is the number one priority. Sucking all those dicks in the courtroom, man. He's a circus seal. He is literally a circus seal. Do you know what I mean when I say circus seal? Like he's hitting the fucking like he's hitting the fucking horns. Fucking circus seal sucking dick from every direction, bro. That's what a lawyer is. Now that I think about it, I hope there's not any lawyers listening to this. So the lawyer is obligated to the courts and to the public wherever his duties to his client conflict with those he owes. He owes. Look at that word. Owes. Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. He owes. That's like bitch ass slave language. Look at that. Owes. Oh God, that's disgusting. Owes. Ugh. Oh, it's painful. I don't know why I didn't realize that last time. I've read this a million times and I did not see that word like that. Owes. Why does he owe anybody anything? The attorney is obligated to the courts and to the public wherever his duties to his client conflict with those he owes. As an officer of the court means he's a bitch ass little fucking cunt of the court. In the administration of justice, the former duties must yield to the latter. That is fucking, I don't know. For some reason, I didn't fully get that before. Now I'm like, oh shit. Anyways, lawyers are opposite of the court. Lawyers are bitch ass slaves of the court. How's that for translation? And by using one, you put yourself into the jurisdiction of the court. You also waive your rights when you accept representation. By legal definition of the legal definition of represent is to present again. Now, that's just common sense. Represent. Look at re means again or twice or a second time or whatever. Right? Present, right? Represent, right? Present. An attorney, by definition, and this is actually true, represents people who cannot present themselves, such as the insane, children, and retards. Now, I use the word retards liberally because I think the word is delicious. But in this definition, there is a literal definition of the word retard. If you go to thefreedictionary.com and you type in retard, a person considered to be foolish or socially inept, but no, it's like a real term. A person with an intellectual disability. Let's see here. What is the legal definition of retard? Intellectual disability. Oh, wow. Look at this. Intellectual disability. Definition: mild to severe impairment in intellectual ability equivalent to an IQ of 70 to 75 or below. Wow. I didn't even know this was here. That is accompanied by significant limitations in social, practical, and conceptual skills as an interpersonal communication, reasoning, or self-care necessary for independent daily functioning, and that has an onset before age 18. Wow. So wait, someone before the age of 18 couldn't be considered a kitty. Oh man, look at this fucking kitty. What a cute ass kitty, bro. I don't want to close this. Hey, good job, marketers. All right, daily functioning, and that has an onset before age 18. Maybe someone of age 18 isn't really considered a retard. I don't know. Is this a fucking woke section? Note, the term intellectual disability is now preferred over mental retardation in medical, educational, and regulatory contexts, as well as in general use. The term mental retardation is increasingly considered offensive. Oh, increasingly. Oh. Though it was the dominant term in the second decade of the current century. Dominant term in the second decade of the current century. Isn't that now? The fuck? Anyways, this is a cool ass definition. IQ of 70 to 75 or below. That is accompanied by significant limitations. So this is the kind of person that a lawyer legally represents. A child. Now it's interesting. This one says before the age of 18, so that would technically be a child. But anyways, even if it didn't say that, you have an IQ of 70 to 75 or below, accompanied by significant limitations in social, practical, and conceptual skills. So look, a retard by definition, how are they supposed to fucking talk or do anything in a court of law? They're not going to be able to. Okay. So a lawyer by definition, or attorney, whatever, stupid ass fucking terms, which we can get into. I think it's in the same section. We'll get into what that means. It's fucking disgusting. People who can't present themselves, right? Like what we just defined, the guy's, the poor guy has such a hard time communicating or understanding what's going on around him due to his low IQ that he can't present himself. So an attorney or lawyer represents people who can't present themselves, such as the insane, children, and retards, which we've now cleared. I wanted to clear that up because I don't think a lot of people realize that word actually has a real definition. By taking on an attorney, you automatically classify yourself in these same categories, and thus you have no rights. So by taking on an attorney, actions speak louder than words. In law, it's the same thing. So when you take on an attorney, you're saying, excuse me, jury, judge, excuse me, the people watching this, excuse me in the back, you there on the pew. Hold on a second. Put your phone down. I want to announce something to you guys. I, Brandon Joe Williams, I'm insane. I am a child. I am a fucking retard. Thank you. Thanks, guys. That's literally what you're doing when you take on a lawyer, okay? Once you do this, it becomes impossible to win in court. You become a ward of the court, which means you become their plaything. You are owned by the court. The court now has to figure out what they're going to do with you. You're like a piece of wood drifting down the river, and now it's their responsibility to figure out what to do with you. If you got money, they're going to take it, and they're going to throw you in jail. I don't know. Fuck it. In jail, you got two hots in the cot. I mean, they're probably like, all right, cool. This is chill. We already went over this term here. We already went over this fucking quote. The only safe way to handle legal proceedings is to never make it into a tribunal courtroom, corporate law. So you have the Supreme Court. Then you have appellate courts, I think it's called, which is like higher courts, right? And then you have lower courts. And then as you go down the scale, the lowest court you're really going to get into, the normal kind that you're going to usually see like in town and stuff like that, it's called a tribunal courtroom. And it's just low-level courts that they can legally have. There's actually sections, and I think it's either, I forget where, maybe it's the Constitution where they talk about tribunal courts, like very, very low-level courts, right? So they make the rules in these courts, as we've already gone over. These statutes and all this that you get yourself involved in, they make all the rules. They change it whenever they want. So they make the rules, they make the statutes, and now you're their bitch because you're a child, a retard, or you're insane. How is that supposed to ever work out well for you? Common law courts are real courts, but they hardly exist in some states. There are some groups building them in certain places. I'm about ready to sign up as a grand juror myself. You should too if you want to help. In all transparency, I've had so much going on recently for a while now. I haven't signed up yet. I wrote this a long time ago. I wrote this back in April or something, and I haven't signed up for a grand jury yet. I get the emails from the California Assembly, and they're always doing shit. They're always like sending papers to the sheriff or putting together this, and I think they might have a grand jury already, and they're doing this and they're doing that. Very active. I know the lady who used to run it, and I think she runs the new one. Super awesome lady. She's actually the one who introduced me to all this in the first place. So go Nancy. Woo! In your state, you might not have an assembly. You might have an assembly. You might not want to get involved. You might check it out and be like, it's not for me. You might check it out and love it. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not really active in my assembly. I'm more on the educational end of things, but I think what they're doing is really, really important and really awesome. They're creating the de jure government, and they're bringing it up out of the ground, out of the, kind of like what the UAS is doing, that website I showed you earlier. They're bringing the de jure back. Somebody's got to fucking do it. I mean, the de jure isn't going to come back by itself. So, I mean, I think that's pretty dope. Personally, I'm supportive. I love those guys. They're the ones who introduced me to all this in the first place. So, but am I involved? No. I'm more on this end, the educational end, which I'll probably continue to be on this end. This is just kind of where my penis takes me, shall we say. Okay. If you do wind up forced into a tribunal court, and I put it in quotations, pretty clever, huh? You want to question and attack jurisdiction while presenting, not representing yourself. Okay. Now, what does that mean? If you're forced into a tribunal court, it's question and attack jurisdiction while presenting, not representing yourself. So what you're going to say if you get pulled into a tribunal courtroom is you're going to say, I'm there on special appearance. Special appearance is a tool defendants can use to challenge a court's jurisdiction over them. If a court does not have a personal jurisdiction, meaning like the person themselves, the body, or there are other areas like for service of process, many states allow defendants to challenge the lawsuit without submitting to a court's jurisdiction. So, and I learned all this from Christopher Hauser, your boy. I showed him in the last video. So you can show up in two different ways. General appearance, which is where you just show up and they say your name and you walk up there and that's it. It's all over at that point. You do that, it's over. So that's the end of the game. You're fucked. You're a slave. That's the end. Now, if you get up there, you don't respond to your name necessarily, but there's a way that you can do it. You can look at Chris Hauser videos and there's other videos on this, but you're hello, I'm here on special appearance, meaning I'm a foreigner, which you are, and I'm here to challenge jurisdiction, which is really all that matters. The most powerful way to win any court case or do anything at all is to challenge the jurisdiction, which we've already gone over. And you actually aren't in their jurisdiction, most likely. So the beauty of it is that, you really can win. You just got to be one ballsy motherfucker. Now you're going to say, I'm here sui juris or sui juris, right? Independent of age of one's own right. Okay. And then you're going to say in propria persona, in his own person, right? So that means it's abbreviated as pro per, and it's a phrase referring to pro se litigants, according to the U.S. courts. Pro se litigants are individuals representing themselves without the benefit of a lawyer. You're not going to say representing. You're going to say presenting. So pro se litigants are individuals presenting themselves without the benefits of a lawyer. Okay? That's all that means. And this ain't easy. We're starting to get into some shit that's really, really tough. I'm not going to get into this too much. I might a little bit. Chris Hauser gets into it more. If you're going to be in a courtroom all the time or something, I don't know. It's not really my style. I want to stay out of a courtroom as much as fucking possible. I don't really, if you want to learn a lot about courtrooms, you probably want to go with David Straight. David Straight's in courtrooms a trillion, gajillion times, him and his wife. So, you want to learn about courtrooms and courts, might be better to go for him. Okay. Now, I'll just give you some of the real basic information here. Free, quote unquote, state representation is given away with a massive price tag, jurisdiction. Oh, you can't afford representation? No problem there, buddy. We got you. Old Bobby here. Imagine this. You're let's say you're in a gang, like a street gang, and you're part of the Reds. And then there's the what was it? The Crips and the Bloods. I think the Crips are blue, and then the Bloods are red because blood is red. So let's say you're a Crip and you're like, yo, and you're going down the road and you got like a fucking, like a Glock here, like a Glock 17. It's got like the serial number scratched off of it. And you got hollow point rounds and you're just like chilling and you're going along. And this dude challenges you from the Bloods and he's like, yo, dude, listen, man, I'll help you, bro. I'll help you. Like, you need someone, you need like an assistant to roll up on these people, bro. Like, I got you. Like, I'll give you one of my assistants to help you out, bro. Like, how fucking stupid you got to be like, oh yeah, thanks for the free assistant. Like, dude, that guy's gonna shoot you in the head like the moment he gets a chance. Like, that's the most ridiculous thing in the world. The people who do not have your best interests at heart are trying to give you a free lawyer. You gotta be fucking kidding me, bro. Like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any fucking sense, dude. And people do it all the time. All the time. Oh, thanks so much, Judge. Thanks so much, dude. I'm gonna suck you off. All right. Plus, there are many instances of judges saying that people do not need licenses to practice law. You don't need a license to practice law. That's all just literally made up, and you just hear it everywhere. It's bullshit. The bar exam and the bar association is nothing more than a corrupt, glorified club. Yeah, it is. It's the bar association. Bar association. What does it stand for? What does it stand for? American Bar Association. Oh, they're sad. Oh, are they sad? Let's see. What does the bar mean in law? Bar law. Oh, fuck off. Hmm. They're always trying to change shit. Anyways, the bar stands for British and British Accreditation Regency. And that's why it says here, when you type in bar, that's why it says American Bar Association. If you look around, it says American Bar Association. Well, fuck. Let's just take a look in fourth edition and see here. Bar. Maybe it'll come up in bar. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Shit takes fucking forever. Bar. Where's the bar at? A partition or railing running across the courtroom intended to separate the general public from the space occupied for the judges, counsel, jury, and others concerned in the trial of a case. In the English courts, it is the partition behind which all outer barristers and every member of blah, 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 court. Anyways, the bar, it's called the American Bar Association because it's the American version of something. It's the American version of something that comes from someplace else. So bar, it comes from Britain. It comes from Great Britain. Okay. The bar exam and the bar association is nothing more than a corrupt glorified club. Okay. You waive your rights when you choose to take on representation. So when you say you have rights, you really don't. So as soon as you take on a lawyer, whether it's one that you take on for free or you pay for one, you're instantaneously saying, I'm a retard. I don't have any rights. And this guy is going to be the guy who's going to be my guy, who's going to represent all of my rights, etc. Okay. The only way to win in a corporate court is to defend yourself and challenge jurisdiction. Otherwise, you're playing a game where the court makes money on fines and bonds if you are found guilty, so they have a financial incentive to crush you. They use lawyers to do it. The equation is lawyer plus court or judge equals money in their pockets. Yes. Now, the law provides that once state and federal jurisdiction has been challenged, it must be proven. Now, this is interesting. Maine versus Thibutat. So when you challenge jurisdiction, and you can challenge, if you're in jail for 20 years, you can wake up one day, pull the dick out of your ass, and say, you know what? I'm done. I'm challenging jurisdiction today. And you can go down and you can file what's called a habeas corpus. Now, I don't know anything about this. I know this is what you do, but I don't know a goddamn thing about it. So if you have a family member who's in jail and you would like to get them out, this is the very, very beginning of what I know on how to do it. you file what's called a habeas corpus. I learned this from Christopher Hauser. So let's see here. Habeas corpus. Oh, they have a definition of gynecologist. Habeas corpus. Habeas corpus. The name given to various writs having for their object to bring a party before a court or judge. So it's like, hey, wait a second, bring me before the court or judge. I want to challenge jurisdiction. That's what you're doing in a habeas corpus. How do you write one and how you issue it? I don't really know, but that's how you do it. Okay. So arguing the facts of a case or giving a plea of not guilty is tacit consent to their jurisdiction. So we talked about earlier, right? You have commercial terms and everything. They're trying to make everything a commercial problem, right? Guilty and not guilty are both commercial terms. The correct term would be innocent. That would be what you'd want to say, but really, you don't want to plead anything. You just want to challenge jurisdiction. They say, guilty or not guilty, how do you plead? And you say, I'm here to challenge jurisdiction. I'm here on special appearance, sui juris, in propria persona, and that's it. You're just, all you're trying to do in a court of law all the time, basically, is you're just challenging jurisdiction. You're not talking about the facts. You're not answering their questions. You're not giving a plea of guilty or not guilty, which are both commercial terms. You are a foreign entity making a special appearance to challenge jurisdiction. They have no right to dominion over you at all, and you are only there through threat of arrest. There is no case, and there is no reason to defend yourself in a court that is run by criminals for the purpose of self-enrichment. They are not your friends, and they are not your country. Okay, you owe them nothing. Doing this is a quite a complex and deep personal dive that you will have to do. Again, this post is just to give you a taste. If you want to move forward and learn exactly how to do this, remember it's 500 plus hours of investment time. It might even be 1,000 plus hours of investment time. I guarantee nothing, as everyone is different. After 6 months of studying, I feel fairly confident that I could do it for myself. I'm not for hire, so please don't ask. If you need to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. Okay. So, yeah, this part, like when you start getting into a courtroom and this kind of stuff, this is more advanced. I've never been in a courtroom. Would I be willing to go into one? Yeah, sure. Fuck it. At this point, I could really care less. But I mean, the whole point of everything I'm teaching you and everything I'm going to be teaching you is how to stay out of a courtroom. I'm going to be teaching you also. There's something called a conditional acceptance we're going to be going over in great detail. I have some training videos on my website. That's how you stay out of court and just, become a master of staying out of court. You ain't got to deal with any of that shit. Okay, so this is a philosophical chat. Think about this. To defend automatically assumes and grants the other person to be the attacker. By defending, you are granting power to not only the subject matter, but to the attacker. To defend is to enter yourself into battle. When you receive an offer, presentment, idea, or anything else. Now, presentment, this is a funny word. So if someone sends you a bill, people always get real freaked out, like, oh my God, and this and that, and they get angry and this and that. It's like, no. A bill, basically by definition, is they're sending you just an offer. They're like, yo, like, we think you owe this, like, you should pay this. It's not really a real bill. Like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find all these, but if you go down to the word statement, do you want to have one for me? Oh, statement, I just want to have one for myself. Don't you want a statement? Okay, statement. In a general sense, an allegation, a declaration of matters of fact. The term has come to be used of a variety of formal narratives of facts required by law in various jurisdictions as a foundation of judicial or official proceedings, and in a limited sense is a formal, exact, detailed presentation. It's an allegation. It's like me saying, like, I think you were there that night when that woman was murdered. It's the same idea. It's like it's not even like a real deal. It's just an allegation. It's just like a whatever, like just presentment. It's called a presentation or presentment, right? Now, if you go down to I think it's called a true bill, which is just what they mean when they say bill, right? True bill. Where is the word? True bill. Where is the word? I just need the fucking word. Where is the word? I just need the word. Where's the word? I just need the word. True bill. Yeah. I just need one. I just need one. True bill. I just need one. Oh, I need it. I just need one. True bill now. Oh, do you want to be my true bill? Don't you know that the opposite would be a false bill? Ooh, I just need a true bill. Ooh. Oh, here it is. In criminal practice, the endorsement made by a grand jury upon a bill of indictment when they find it sustained by the evidence laid before them and are satisfied of the truth of the accusation. Now, what the fuck does that mean? That means I send you a statement and I say, I allege that you owe me this money because I fixed your home. And you say, nah, bitch, you didn't fix my home. But in fact, I did. So what happens is it goes before a grand jury. And I say, look, I have photo evidence. I have this. I have these invoices for these bricks that I fucking put in this dude's property and blah, 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 blah. Dude, I fucking fixed this guy's house. And he's like, he's being a little bitch. And he's saying like, I didn't fix his house. Like, what's the deal? And the grand jury looks at it and they go, by God, Jim, you're right. And they find it sustained by the evidence laid before them. They are satisfied of the truth of the accusation. And then, boom, they stamp that bitch true bill. Now, at that point, you've got yourself a fucking bill, right? So check it out. That's page 1756. What's a grand jury? I mean, you kind of know what a jury is. You ain't a retard. But let's take a look anyways. Grand jury. Don't you want to be my grand jury? Don't you want to be my grand jury? I just want to be. I thought they said great titties. Great times. I was like, oh my God, I love this dictionary. Oh my God. All right. Grand jury. Want to be a grand jury? Are you a grand jury? Don't you want to be my grand jury? I just want to be my grand jury. Oh no. Grand? What? A grand jury is 25 people. How many people is a grand jury? How many people is a grand jury? What? No. It's 25 people. This is some weird shit. I don't know what that was. Maybe jury. Let me see here. You guys are learning what I do, man. I'm just showing you what I do all the time. Shit is so dope. Grand jury. Oh, damn. I'm like a super sleuth. I'm like Inspector Gadget up in this bitch. All right. A jury of inquiry who are summoned and returned by the sheriff. Oh, ya boy. to each session of the criminal courts, and whose duty is to receive complaints and accusations in criminal cases, hear the evidence adduced. Oof. I don't know what that means, but I'm not going to look that up right now. On the part of the state, and find bills of indictment in cases where they're satisfied a trial ought to be had. They are first sworn and instructed by the court. Let's see. It's called a grand jury because it comprises a greater number of jurors than an ordinary trial jury. At common law, a trial jury. Oh, look at this. I learned something. At common law, a grand jury consisted of not less than 12 nor more than 23 men, and this is still the rule in many of the states, though in some the number is otherwise fixed by statute. Interesting. 1756. True bill. True bill. Is it false? No. Truth. In criminal practice, the endorsement made by a grand jury upon a bill of indictment when they find it sustained by the evidence laid before them and are satisfied of the truth of the accusation. So, I mean, if you want to be a real dick, you can fuck with people, but like, oh, this is a bill, huh? Someone sends you, oh, we sent you the bill. You sent me the bill, is that right? What kind of a bill? What's the definition of bill? Oh, well, nah, the definition of bill is true bill, bro. Where's the indictment of a fucking grand jury? What? I'm a retard. I have an IQ of 67. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, going back. When you receive an offer, presentment, idea, or anything else, you have to choose to defend. When you defend, you are consenting to the fact that there is something to fight about, and you are also contracting into a battle willingly. The definition of defend is to engage in or be prepared to engage in battle to prevent a population or area, for example, from being captured or occupied by an enemy. The only power the attacker has is when you decide to defend. This situation gives the attacker tacit consent that they are the one in control, because in an attack-defend dichotomy, meaning like two opposite ends of a transaction, or like kind of like a battery, the positive and the negative end, the attacker is always considered the point of cause, while the defender is the point of effect. Taking the defense position is always a willful activity, and you have a choice to do it or not. So what that means is basically like, you can call me a bitch ass cunt. And I could be like, okay. Like, I really don't give a fuck. Like, my website's literally one stupid fuck. Like, that doesn't affect me at all. Like, oh, well, you're a fucking loser. You know, this and that. I'm like, dude, did you hear me the first time? Like, my website is literally onestupidfuck.com. Like, what do you think you're going to do to me? Literally nothing. But let's say someone was like, oh, you're a bitch ass little piece of shit, and blah, blah, blah. And then you get all fucking pissed off, and then you start fucking fighting them, blah, blah, blah. It's like taking the defensive position is always a willful activity. Like you like, think about it in reverse. Just because someone's attacking you, does that mean that they deserve your effort and attention and time? Like, I mean, you see this shit in the media all the time. Like, you see celebrities and shit getting attacked. Like, you don't think that those people attack those people just because they're trying to get attention from the person of which they're attacking? Like, just because someone like what, like, here's a good point. Okay, so someone's attacking you, right? Like, let's say you're at a dinner or something like that. Someone starts attacking you, right? I'm going to give you ultra tip, dude. Let's go to me, my delicious body. So when someone starts to attack you, it's super simple. All you do is just look at them, and you just kind of look at them and you say, what value do you have to bring into my life that justifies me defending myself or spending time responding to your allegations? What? You just say it again. You say, what value do you have to offer me in my life that justifies me answering your questions or responding to that of which you're saying? Oh, well, now what happens is in that moment, you're either going to short circuit them and they're going to shut down and they're going to be like a pile of like static electricity on the ground, or you're going to flip the whole thing. Now, if you're going to do that, just realize like you shouldn't use that to like completely obliterate people because it's so powerful. Like you can just like you can take someone and just like crush them in your fucking hands like you are Thanos. Okay. So I don't recommend that you do that. I think that the super light touch, just kind of blowing them over as if they're just made of popsicle sticks. I think that's kind of like the best way to do it. I don't think obliterating every cell in their body is necessarily the best way to do it. But then they go, oh, well, now they're going to start thinking of ways that they're benefiting you. They might say something like, oh, well, I could get you on this TV show, right? Now you've just flipped the script completely. Now they were trying to put you on the defensive and now they're on the defensive, right? Now, if you want to crush their soul, you could say something like, what makes you think I would want to be on that TV show? Or what makes you think I need to be on that TV show? Oh, well, they're getting obliterated. They realize they're getting obliterated. You don't need to crank the fucking machine on them. I mean, really, it's so much more powerful and so much more interesting when you can just do this benevolently. Remember, even when you're ripping someone apart emotionally, you can still have the trusty beneficiary relationship intact, right? I mean, in the back of my head, someone starts to attack me. I don't get a lot of attacks because it's pretty obvious and people see in public that like I will fucking destroy your soul and eat you like Shang Tsung from fucking Mortal Kombat. But the thing is that when I do that, to some degree, in the back of my head, I'm thinking in my head like, okay, I'm going to eat your soul, but at the same time, like, I want you to realize that like what you just did and the behavior you just did to me is unacceptable. And maybe, if you changed it, you wouldn't be in this condition anymore or something like that. Or like, there's always at least try to have some kind of a trustee beneficiary relationship. There's always some kind of a something, and again, the whole point of this course is to kill off all your contracts. And the only way you're going to kill off all your contracts is this sort of like benevolent, chill kind of demeanor. And the reason why is because if you freak out and you get angry and shit, you'll attract a lot of people who want to get into battle with you, right? And if you want to get into battle with people, that's fine, but you're not really breaking your contracts when you get into a lot of battles. Battles prolong the breaking of contracts. So I'm trying to teach you how to be like a full-blown ninja warrior, like Art of War, Sun Tzu style shit, where you're like legit just trying to like get out of it as quickly as possible. You're not trying to like engage in it or make it into some, a lot of people like to get into these battles and these like, bloodsheds, and it's this like epic story that becomes a great movie, something like that. That's fine. I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm just saying like, that's not really like what I'm trying to teach is not so much that angle. What I'm trying to teach is more on the like quiet, simple, like fucking like Karate Kid what's his name? Master or Mr. whatever. Miyagi. Got it. Mr. Miyagi shit. You know what I mean? Like super chill, like one sentence and it like just like crushes their soul and they run away. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of stuff that I like. That's the kind of stuff that I'm trying to teach you. So it's just like I said before, don't freak out and freak out and want revenge and blah blah blah. Anyways, so I forget where I was going with that. Talking about the defend, attack, and all that kind of thing. On the attack end, it's leans. So, if you're getting attacked and you feel like you want to counterattack, again, it's super aggressive. I don't do it. I haven't done it yet. Would I do it? Oh God, yes. Have I done it? No. Do I want to do it? No. Leans. So if you want to get into the attack side of things, or if you want to counterattack, it'd be leans. But people have gotten in a lot of trouble with those. So if you're going to study leans, study them well. Okay. I don't know what else to talk about here. This is video number 14. I think I'm going to end it here, and I will see you sexy bitch, at video 15.